Good evening to everyone that is joining us right now. We'll just wait for everyone to get in the room. I know that people probably have got questions they're burning to ask already, but do not panic. We will make sure that we get some responses to your questions as the evening goes on. I'll just give you a second to get that all sorted. Good evening to everyone joining us. We'll be with you in 2 seconds.
How would I describe the Oaks?
Friendly.
Welcoming.
Engaging.
Supportive.
Awesome.
Nice community.
Caring teachers.
Inclusive.
Structured.
Amazing.
Motivating.
Exciting.
Focused on the individual.
Kind.
Positive.
Welcoming.
A supportive community.
Inclusive and friendly.
Great subjects and teaching staff.
Unique.
Diverse.
Inspiring.
Family.
Innovative lessons.
Safe and supportive.
Fun.
Passionate, understanding teaching staff.
Enthusiastic. Loads of opportunities.
Creative.
Optimistic.
Confidence boosting.
Academic.
Inspirational.
Friendship.
Outstanding.
And how do we describe an Oaks student? Individual, hardworking, and they definitely make us proud. Good evening, everybody. My name is Lorenza Samuels, and although I am head of media, my best and most favourite role of all is head of student interaction. And I get to work with some amazing individuals that you probably saw in that video who do make us proud every single day. And you are so lucky because you get to meet them today as well. There are current year 12s who will be moving on in a couple of months' time to year 13, and so they'll be in the college the same time as you guys that are watching us from home, and they're here to answer any of your questions that you might have about subjects, about college life, about general day-to-day, and I'm sure they are the experts who can be able to answer anything that you might have. So if you do have any questions at all, please use our Q&A box at the bottom of our screen, and be able to ask any questions that you might be thinking of on the tip of your tongue. I'm also joined by Mr. Marzawi. He's the head of the college. He's already told me, though, that he doesn't need to say very much today for this part. He's going to sit back and enjoy our experts talking for the next hour. And of course, if you're a parent watching and you've got a specific question that you think Mr. Marzawi should be answering, then please come back at 6:30. We'll be able to respond to those questions then. So let's get started. We have got a huge amount of students. If you scroll through your screen, you'll probably see them smiling away at us. Some of them have got the Oaks t-shirts on. I think they must sleep in them. Because they are looking absolutely fantastic, but it looks like it's just part of their daily outfit. Let's start off with just asking about their experience of Oaks and what made them choose Oaks overall. So I'm going to start off with talking to Bella. Why did you choose Oaks?
I chose Oaks because of how much it differed from other colleges. It was so small for one, and the class sizes just felt like you'd get that one-to-one help, which I personally love and know that it will benefit me so much, and it already has. You know, it's grown my confidence massively.
Fantastic. Thank you, Bella. You came from Bottisham before, is that right?
Yes, I did.
So part of our Anglian Learning Trust, and then came over to Oaks, which is absolutely brilliant. Lucy, what made you choose the Oaks?
I chose the Oaks mainly for the pastoral support. I'm somebody who needs a lot of mental and also physical support. And I heard that the Oaks team would be able to provide me with lots of different options that would accommodate for my needs. And so far I found that they really were able to do that.
Fantastic. We're a very inclusive college. We like to make sure that all of our students get the best support, but also feel included and feel part of that same community, no matter what is going on in the outside world. Dev, talk to me. You were a Netherhall student. What made you stay on the same site and come over to Oaks?
Well, what you've heard from Bella and Lucy is just a main all-around message of support. And that's something that I think is really integral to the whole college, not just in our subjects, like Bella was saying, and in our support staff, like Lucy was saying. I think just an ethos of support throughout all the students is what really makes the college so special. And that's why I decided to stay. It's like vastly different from Netherhall. And yeah, I love it.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. We've got some questions coming through on the Q&A. So the very first question is to our PE guys. I think we've got Ollie and Libby. Give us a wave, guys. Good stuff. That you'll be able to help us out. We've got some very sporty people that want to know, what exactly is the PE course? What sort of things do you cover? Let's start off with Libby.
Well, you cover many things. You cover all sorts of things about the body, exercises, diet and nutrition, psychology. You do the whole lot of PE. It's everything to do with the activities and also your body yourself and what it goes through during each exercise.
So you don't have to be a top footballer then, Ollie?
Oh God, no.
No. The practical, there is a side of practical, but it's not quite as much as at GCSE. So you can come as a coach, you can come as an athlete, and you can still get the same grades as the people performing at a really high level.
Fantastic. What is the situation with PE? Because when you're at sort of at secondary school, there's a lot of practical lessons, a lot of sort of running around the pitch, doing lots of activities. What is the general sort of classes like when it comes to
the classes are all of the practical is kind of all based around what you're learning. So you do learn quite a lot through the practical elements, and unlike GCSE, it's only one sport rather than three. So your main sport is what you focus on rather than having to do possibly sports that you don't do outside of school. And also it's all focused about you doing it yourself rather than having to do it in school time and having to get the support through it. You get support through your one sport that you do at home. It's really, really nice.
Fantastic. Really good explanation, guys. Thank you very much. I'm coming to Rosie and Lucy now. We've had a question come in from an anonymous attendee. You can let us know your names, guys. We won't worry about that, but brilliant that you are asking us some questions. They want to know what the Health and Social Care BTEC is like. So I'm going to start with Rosie. Can you explain to me, when we say BTEC, what does that kind of mean when it comes to health and social?
Okay, so the BTEC is equivalent to 1 A-level. So it's like I do 2 A-levels and 1 BTEC in health and social care. So it's kind of like a mixture of coursework and exams. So it's not all, I really like the fact that it's not all riding on that one exam at the end of year 13. So you do one of your coursework units about like physiological disorders. So you get to pick like a disorder which you're interested in. So I'm doing about diabetes and osteoporosis. And then you write your coursework and you have the whole year to write it. And then you do the same in year 13, but you also sit one of your exams at the end of this year. So I find that really helps like relieve the stress of having to do it all at the end of year 13.
Breaking it down into sort of units so that you work that.
Yeah.
Lucy, how do you find health and social? It's not unmuted.
I find it is probably one of my favourite subjects. I really like how we are able to look in detail at 2 disorders and really learn about how people with those disorders go from just having symptoms all the way up to treatment and maybe even curing them if possible. And also we do get to look at more scientific sides. So we do look at how people develop over their lifespan, which I think is really interesting also to learn about.
Fantastic. I can hear the passion shining through. I mean, health and social is one of our most popular courses of recent years. We've had to add an extra class because what we're trying to do is still keep our class sizes nice and small like we do throughout the college, but it seems to be this popular subject and something where careers could go on to be in sort of teaching or care. Is health and social something that you want to use in the future, girls?
I previously, yeah, but it will still help me towards where I want to go. So yeah, still relevant.
Stuff. And Rosie?
I want to be a primary teacher, so the child development to me is really interesting, so it's definitely useful.
Fantastic, thank you. I've just had a question come through. What do we call or address the teachers? As long as it's a nice thing, you can call us whatever you like. No, Mr. Marzawi, Miss Samuels. It is, you know, we do keep it quite relaxed. Would you guys agree that we talk to you like adults? It's kind of relaxed like that, but people still call us Mr. and Miss and Sir. Rokas is the most politest student over there that always calls me Miss and checks how I am. So yeah, that's how we are responding to, but we talk to you like adults because you are young adults that work with us, and I think it's just you're comfortable in that way. Victoria, we've got a question about it's English literature that you study. Yeah. Do they need to have lots and lots of books at home to be a good English literature student?
No. For the set pieces and text that you'll do, you'll be given a copy and you'll be able to use that for those. You're expected to sort of read during your free time and sort of have a passion for it, otherwise you wouldn't be doing the subject. But there's the Netherhall Library or just a public library that you can get books from. You don't need to have a full bookcase at home.
Fantastic. Thank you. I mean, in terms of that, you know, if there are any particular books that you need to get and perhaps you might need some help with the financial side of that, we can talk to you and your parents about bursaries and help you with equipment. So if there's particular books you need to buy or equipment, we can work with certain students, and that's absolutely fine. In terms of equipment, we've had this question come in. Do you recommend bringing in your own laptop, or are there computers to use in study periods? By show of hands, how many of you bring in your own laptops? I'd say about half of the students that are here right now. I know Rokas definitely does because he's brought it with him. He's in school now using it. And I know Dylan and Jake use them in my media lessons. And it's absolutely fine to bring in your own laptops. Remember, it's your own responsibility, but we do have Apple Macs for you to use in school. We do have a huge selection of laptops for you to use in college as well. So if you don't have your own laptop at home, we have got the availability for you to use them in college. So that's absolutely fine. I'll ask Amy this question over here because I think she's a bit of a phone addict over there. Are we allowed to bring our phones into college?
Of course you are allowed to bring your phones into college. I would not recommend them personally using them in the lesson unless it's necessary, because obviously you want to be completely concentrated on what you're writing, what you're saying, what you're doing. And having a phone is a little bit distracting. I must admit, I am on my phone a lot, okay? But they are helpful to have at college, obviously for emergencies, stuff like that. If you're not studying, or if you need any information on your phone, they're easy to get there. But I would not personally use them in a lesson, but you're allowed to if you need to.
Absolutely. And there are lots of lessons where we do use phones. If you watch some of our subject webinars, which are on the website, or find out some information. I know physics use a lot of different apps that you use your phone. Again, it's within lessons. Us in film and media, we use phones a lot. We do have DSLR cameras, but a lot of our students like filming on their iPhones. We do have that availability. So yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Amy. Dev, got a politics question over here. The question is, how helpful would it be keeping up with the news to be a good politics student?
It is really, really helpful to keep up with the news. So basically every lesson kind of starts with 10 or 15 minutes of going through the daily news. There's a lot of it. There's a lot that goes on in the world. And they recommend that you try and take like an hour or 2 hours a week, just, you know, like watching the news or like reading the news on your phone. It's really accessible on your phone. You can like scroll through articles and stuff like that. But yeah, it's really helpful because we try not to like use the textbooks that much in politics. You kind of want to draw from the really recent information that's happening, because that's the juiciest and that's what's going to be the most interesting for you, basically.
Brilliant. And it's not just politics. If you want to be a media student, tuning in with the news now and then is really important to look at. Sociology, you're studying people, psychology. I think it really helps you with lots of these different subjects. So it's really key to make sure you're aware of what's going on in the world. And we have a question here for our artists, our budding artists. Can you explain what the art facilities are like? Izzy, tell me about the art facilities.
Sorry, there's just like a place where it's like kind of like my GCSE place. So they have like areas, they just have like tables and like sinks and all the equipment like you could ever really want in like one space. So it's quite good for like whatever mediums you want to do.
And then do different arts and crafts and things like that. What do you specialize in, Izzy, with your artwork?
I typically like oil paint. So yeah, so I kind of bring in my own paints, although like the acrylics they have at school and like the oil paints they have at school are like pretty good, I think.
So great facilities to sort of find out the things that you love being creative with. Arthur, what's your specialism when it comes to art?
Recently, I've just moved on to screen printing, which I'd never tried before going to the Oaks.
Okay.
So that was something that I was allowed to do because they had the facilities. And also for the first, I think it was half term, we spent most of it trying out lots of new techniques, using facilities or different media that maybe we weren't available to us at our secondary before we came to Oaks. So, for example, we did etching, which I hadn't done before either, and it makes you rethink about yourself as well, and also it means that you can experiment with all of your ideas you have. So I really have enjoyed using all of the new facilities and media.
Fab. It gives you that freedom to try different things and experiment, whether it's oil paintings or screen paintings or etching. God, I feel so uncreative when you guys are talking, and that's coming from a media teacher. Ella, you used to do GCSE art, is that right, at Netherhall?
Yeah, I did GCSE art at Netherhall, and now I'm doing A-level art.
Now doing A-level art. How is it different from GCSE to A-level art?
I think it is different, but you still have to bring in your GCSE techniques into it. And it's very helpful if you have already done GCSE art. But of course, there's people in our class that didn't do GCSE art and they've got on really well. In A-level art, there's a lot more content because obviously you have a lot more lessons. So you get tons and tons of pads to do all your work in. And obviously college will provide that for you. And you've got your massive A3 pad, A1 pad, and you just sort of go a bit crazy.
And what are the teachers like?
The teachers are so supportive. And I've had them in Netherhall and they're really supportive of your work and help you just through your whole art process.
Good stuff. Thank you very much. And over in that same creative field, in fact, they're still up in the same facilities along the corridor from art is photography. Izzy, can you tell me about your photography course? What kind of facilities have you got available in photography?
Yeah, so there's lots of stuff available. There's lots of cameras, so there's not an expectation for you to have your own camera. There'll always be ones available for you to use at school. There's tripods, there's like a nice studio area. It's got a big backdrop, studio lighting, so you can do some studio work. And there's also a dark room, which has been really exciting. I've been working in film recently. So you have the chance to develop your own film and to make prints with all the chemicals. So that's been really exciting.
Fab stuff. And if you like that side of things, using cameras rather than paintbrushes, there is photography and fabulous facilities for you to use. Again, you don't need your own camera, and we do have the availability to lend out cameras and bursaries to help and support you. But same over in media, we have a TV studio for you to use and cameras if you want to, or if you're someone like Jake, he has the freedom, he's got his own camera and setup over there, but the freedom to experiment with all of his media and film work that he's doing. How have you found sort of the creative courses that you do, Jake? Because you do film, photography and media, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah. So yeah, I've enjoyed all the courses I'm doing at the moment at Oaks. I'm very much more a creative person. I don't really do well sort of writing loads of documents and essays. So being able to sort of do mainly creative subjects, which you can sort of explore and just, I guess, again, be creative with what you do is really helpful.
Good stuff. Thank you very much. Moving over to the performance side of things, and we've had so many questions about college performances, so productions. Does the college put on drama productions? How do I get involved? From Gregor James. Does the school do productions? Seb, I know you're someone that starred in one of our productions. Can you tell us what sort of things that we do in terms of drama and performing at college?
Yeah, so on a normal year, I mean, this COVID year has been a bit disrupted, but on a typical year, we would usually have a musical, a school musical, and that would start production in around September, and we would perform that around mid-December, just before we leave for Christmas break. Last year, we did Les Mis, which I starred in, and it was such a great time. It was my first musical, and I mean, it was a great thing to be a part of. It's not just the performing, but it's also the kind of community that you're within, and it kind of feels like you make a second family. So that's really fun. Also throughout the year, we have things like the Shakespeare Festival and the Arts Festival, where you just have a chance to kind of, I mean, for the Arts Festival, you can just kind of do whatever you want. If you have something that you want to perform in front of people, whether that be music or like a monologue or something, or even your own kind of self-written play. And well, the Shakespeare Festival kind of sums itself up there. Shakespeare performances such as Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet.
You've got that ability to explore a range of different plays and theatre performances, and the Arts Festival is great because you're absolutely right. You could be performing a monologue from Hamlet. You could be one of our artists using the gallery and showing off your work. Could be a media student, perhaps doing some sound work, some Foley. I know my media students have been playing with celery and doing broken bones and stuff recently, which would be great for that sort of thing. You could be a photography student and showing off your best portfolio. So our Arts Festival is worth having a look at on our website to see all the stuff that's involved with that and work with that. I've got a question for our historians in the room. Historians, can you give me a wave? Okay, so let's start off with Maya, and I know Neve will definitely want to answer the next question I've got for her about the Tudors. But Maya, what is history like at Oaks?
History is good. It's a lot better than I expected, because I was personally someone who did the subject because I felt like I had to in order to kind of progress and get ready for my career, but it's actually really good. It's really enjoyable. So at Oaks we do Tudor history, which is quite interesting, and Russia, and we do our coursework on civil rights, and it's all really interesting and actually quite a lot of fun.
Fantastic. You said your future career. Can I ask what you want to do in the future?
I want to do law, so history is definitely going to help with my essay writing skills, which would be very beneficial in my future law career.
Thank you. Go on, Neve. This is the big question. What's it like studying Tudors in history?
Well, I'm a bit biased. I've always loved the Tudors. So you study from the start of Henry VII's reign till the end of Elizabeth I's, and I just think it's very interesting. I really enjoy it. The teachers are passionate about it, which makes it fun to learn. And well, as I said, I've always really enjoyed it.
Fantastic stuff. We've got a question for Mr. Marzawi. It's the only one I'm going to ask you, Mr. Marzawi. Do the Oaks do AS levels, and if so, which ones do we do?
Good evening all. We do AS levels. So core maths is the closest thing to an AS level, and some of the maths students do an AS level as part of their course to build up to their full A level. But other than that, we do very limited AS courses. All of ours are on 2-year study programs, and whether they're doing applied courses or A-level study programs. So there isn't many AS levels, and the ones that we do are advertised on the website, but the main ones are core maths, and if you do any of the maths qualifications, that will build part of your overall A-level.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Marzawi. And if you have got that question, there has been a couple of people saying, what's the difference between applied and A-level? Rosie beautifully broke it down earlier on, but the difference is an A-level course is usually more exam-based. You would spend 2 years learning content and learning skills to answer those fabulous questions, or doing those skills in an exam conditions at the end of the 2 years. Whereas an applied course is usually broken down by units, often with more coursework as part of it. So some of it might be a bit more practical or more essay writing rather than in exam conditions. Someone who will be able to answer that for definite is the lovely Izzy and the lovely Amy, because they both do a range of A-level and A-level and applied subjects. Izzy, you study, am I right, biology and photography, which are your A-level subjects, and a Cambridge Technical, is that right?
Yeah, I do A-level biology and A-level photography. So biology is very exam based. You spend 2 years learning all of the course, and then you take your exams at the end of year 13. A-level photography is different because it's a creative subject. So it's very, very coursework based in photography. And then I do a C-Tech in media, which is coursework and exam. So we do some coursework units. So we do an advertising unit that we've just finished. We do a sound unit, and then there are exams at the end of year 13.
Fab stuff, thank you. And Amy, I know that you are someone that prefers the more practical side of things, but you've got a range of A-levels and applied courses. How do you find the two in terms of workload?
So I definitely feel like with exams, I feel more prepared and more ready, and I know exactly what I'm talking about. I know exactly what to write with media, and media is a C-Tech, so you're working up towards an exam. So you know you've literally done all this research, and you know exactly what to write, and you have it all prepared. You're allowed to take notes. It's on a computer and stuff like that. And then with drama and photography, obviously with photography, it's a bit like art where you have a mock. So you have to do a mock final piece, which is where you sort of like edit and create and then put it all on your portfolio, which is like your exam. And you also have to write an essay at the end of it to explain like, why have you made this? What does it mean? How does it link to your deeper meaning? Stuff like that. It's a lot like art. And then drama is also very similar, but we have obviously the practical and theory side of things. And then the theory, we have a few exam questions for that, but all of it is really, I think it's all spread out really well because I don't get much stress over my subjects because all the subjects are really like organized and really spread out throughout the whole year. Basically, they're really helpful.
Good stuff. Thank you very much. We've got another art question saying, can you do textiles in art? Yes, you can. Art does give you the freedom to do anything that you want that is creative and really apply yourself. But Arthur, here's a question. Do you have to do a lot of work for art? Do you get set a lot of work in art?
Yeah, you'd have to do a lot. It's the simple answer.
But you do have your study periods to make sure that you can use that time. And a lot of the lessons are practical rather than learning necessarily notes taking. That's when you'll be applying yourself. I've had a question about law. I know that I've got some students in this room that definitely want to be lawyers, as I can see the smiles on their faces when we say the word law. But we've got Ruth in here, who's one of our law students. What's the course like with law? What sort of things do you cover?
So you sort of do a mixture of criminal law and civil law. And so you get that sort of mixture. And in criminal law, it's really interesting because you get these scenarios. And in an exam with these scenarios, you literally get to read it and decide and be that lawyer and decide, are they criminally liable? And even with the civil tort, it's really interesting because it's really applicable if you want to go down that side of law. So you get really equal learning for both, depending on which career you might want to sort of go down.
Fab stuff. Thank you. That's really good. How many of you do 4 A-levels? A couple of you. Now, not as many as when we said how many of you take a laptop into college. We do recommend that you do 3 A-levels because it is a massive jump from GCSE to A level, and there's lots of work that you need to take on. But some of our students are very resilient. They do like to pile on the workload and be able to study a range of different subjects. So that is absolutely possible. Mr. Marzawi, we have had the question, do you recommend having a job when doing 4 A levels?
It's a very good question. I think providing you can balance your time and you are well organised and you can ensure that you are making the progress that you wish to and that is expected of you in your academic studies, there's no reason why you can't have a job. And I think it's a key thing when you learn going to college, having that free time and making the decisions as to how you can balance that time with having a job and doing your studies. But I would always say put your academic studies first, and if you can have a job whilst studying, great. And if you need support with organisation or of time or juggling those commitments, the Oaks team are more than happy to help.
Fantastic stuff. Thank you very much. We've had a really lovely question coming up. What advice would you give to upcoming students? I'm going to start off with some of our representatives from the Student Council, and then I'll pull on some other people. So I'll start off with Rokas. Rokas, what advice would you give to upcoming students?
Don't panic. I think it's easy to just stress when you're coming to a new school when you probably don't know anyone. It could be like scary, it was for me, but just take a deep breath. Everyone's in the same boat as you. So if you just go with that mentality, are open-minded about meeting new people, you're going to do fantastic. But also over the summer, do a little bit of work. Don't let it sit, because it is very tempting. It was something for me. But then just pause up and just go, oh my God, I have to do some work, so much work now. Just do a little bit over the summer, but don't do rest with your work as well.
And if you haven't seen them already, on your induction sheet that you got today, if you click on the bottom photo, which is actually a picture of the lovely Arthur doing some painting, you've got all of your transition work, which we've got Oaks Futures, Oaks Next Steps, Oaks Ready, which is lots of work to get you ready for A-level and applied courses at sixth form. So Rokas is right, it's a good idea to start looking at the work that you might be needing to do. Phoebe, what advice would you give an upcoming student?
My main advice it sounds so cliche, but genuinely just be yourself, because there's nothing worse than trying to be this person that you're not, and then all the friendships you form will all be like fake and stuff, and it's just so much easier to just be yourself. And also I would say make the most of it, because if I sit here and think we have 1 week left of our first year, obviously we had COVID and everything, but it just seems mental because it's gone so fast. But that always means a positive thing, because it means you've had fun. But yeah, just make the most of your time and genuinely be yourself, or it's just better.
Fantastic, thank you very much. Neve, what's your top tip for an upcoming student?
I would say talk to people. I think the biggest thing for me is I was worried I wasn't going to make friends really easily, and I was so wrong about that. From the first day I met one of my best friends. So I'd say literally, like, everybody, as Rokas said, everybody is in the same boat as you. So don't feel like you can't just like sit down next to someone and just kind of talk to them, because we're all lovely, I promise.
Victoria?
Mine is probably a bit more practical. It's get organised. If you have, and this is speaking from experience of the opposite, but if you are disorganised, if you don't organise your free periods or your folders, whether it's something small or something big, it can really set you off kilter and disrupt your work and life in general.
Fantastic tip there, thank you. Libby?
Again, more work-based. I definitely recommend sorting out your folders as you go along, because you don't want to get it piled up and then have your folder checks and then you're like, no, my folder's not sorted, and then you have to try sort it out all the night before being there. It's not fun. So I recommend, as you go through, make sure you've organised your notes as you go through the day. So even after you finish college, just pile out your notes into each section, write up your revision material, and you'll be set, and it'll make your life so much easier when you get to the end of year 12 and start year 13.
I mean, we've had quite a few questions, Libby, about how do you use your free periods. Would that be a good chance to do that sort of thing?
Once you've finished your lessons, you can then do it, and it'll only take...
Oh, I can't hear you, lovely. Sorry, it seems to... It's all right. Say it again, sorry.
Because it'll make your life so much easier, because it only takes 5-10 minutes. Just put your notes into your sections and also write up some flashcards, however you revise best, and it will save you so much time later on in life, and I highly recommend it.
So using your free periods, study periods, as they're actually called, is a great time to get yourself organised, like Victoria and Libby are suggesting, with your folders, with catching up on revision notes, with doing the coursework that's been set rather than when you get home. How else do people use their study/free periods? Harry, what do you do in that time?
Well, I think, you can spend it speaking to friends. I think that's quite an important thing to do, because, I mean, you can't always be doing work. It's good to have that time where you just kind of talk to friends, yeah. But I also think it is quite good when you get your work done. So by the time you get home after that long college day, you won't have to, you can just like switch off from college and just kind of chill and have that time.
And tune into Love Island, which I'm sure you're not a fan of, Harry, but I'm sure there might be some people watching right now who are thinking, when is this webinar going to end? Because I want to make sure I watch Love Island tonight as well. We've got some amazing questions coming through. Free periods, does anyone go off site for free periods? Phoebe, where do you end up going?
So I know when I started college, I don't even know why, but one of our favorite things to do was we'd go on big squad trips to Tesco, and it just, for some reason, just going to Tesco was great. But there's also a little coffee shop nearby that we go to sometimes, but it's nice to just be able to leave, because you couldn't do that in secondary school. So take advantage, still do your work, but take advantage of the fact that you can leave now.
Yeah, you could almost, I mean, you know, Starbucks isn't too far away, coffee shops, that sort of thing. If you wanted to go and do your work outside of here, but still use that time wisely, that would work nicely. Or to, as Harry said, get to know your friends. But do remember, we do have the Oaks Cafe as well. And we also have the availability of our study rooms and classroom spaces. Because we're a small college, we often have classroom spaces for you to use wisely and get that work done as well. We have had a question about food and cafe. We might as well get this one answered. Do we have vegan lunch and food available? I can see Neve nodding away. That was something that the student council brought in this year, wasn't it?
Yeah, so this academic year, the student council working on getting vegan options, and I can say that we did do it, and there are vegan options in the canteen.
Absolutely. And also things like tomato pastas and stuff like that. So we're not always sticking to my favorite regular at the moment, which is a chicken burger. There are other options available, especially for our vegans and our healthy eaters, unlike myself at the moment. So good stuff. There's a big question here, which I think a lot of people are worried about, especially coming from new places where you might not have had friends coming through. How easy is it to make friends? Dylan, how easy is it for you to make friends at Oaks?
I at first was amazed by how easy it was, considering like 5 or 6 of us came from my secondary school. The fact that within a day there was like 15 of us all sat outside together around this one bench talking as if we'd known each other for months was crazy to come home to. And it really helped the experience here compared to how awful it was at secondary school, where I didn't really have like a big group. But because it's such a smaller community, you really have this feel of just knowing anyone. So you'll walk down the corridors and you'll see the same faces every day, and you'll just have these little interactions with everyone as you walk past. And it's just quite nice being able to talk to anyone, even if you've got a free period. There'll always be a couple of people in the study room that you could go sit with, or in the common room. Even if your core friend group isn't there, you'll still find someone you can easily have a conversation with.
I can see you nodding away, Ollie. Is it the same thing for you?
Yeah, I came 2 people from my school came with me, and even from the first day, you just make friends so easily, because obviously, as Dylan was saying, it's so small, so there's always someone to talk to. Like in free periods, there'll be people from my lessons. So I know me and Libby do quite a lot of work together in our frees, and even other people from different classes, there's still people to talk to on free periods.
Oscar, I know that you came from Netherhall. Does it feel the same in terms of friendship groups? Is it really cliquey, Netherhall against the rest of the world?
It's not the same as Netherhall, but it's still really good. I think
it was a completely different dynamic trying to, you know, meet new people. And it was one of the things I was most looking forward to coming up from Netherhall to the Oaks. I was hoping that, you know, I kind of thought that maybe it would be all Netherhall students, but I was really surprised to see the kind of diversity. And I now know so many new people that I didn't know before.
Fab stuff. Thank you very much. We've had a question. What is religious studies like? What religion do you mostly study? Lucy, you're our RS specialist. Can you help us out?
So in RE, I think it's most easy to break it down into 3 different sections, even though there's only 2 papers. So we look at philosophy, ethics, and Christianity, which is the religion that we study. Also, the philosophy and ethics topics, they have an underlying theme of Christianity as well. So in philosophy, we look at arguments that try to prove the existence of God, and in ethics, we look at how different denominations might use Christian principles in order to answer moral dilemmas, such as abortion or capital punishment and things like that. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Lucy. And we had a question about the interaction between year 12 and 13. Are friendships between the year groups common? I'm going to come over to some people that I've seen sort of chat to some of the year 13s on a regular basis. They've gone now. They've gone off to get ready for university. So these guys are ruling the college. But Amy, I know that you, Phoebe and Dev were you know, friends. You knew a couple of the year 13s when you came to college, if I'm right. But was it a common thing? Was the interaction there?
I think I found it easier to make friends with the year 13s because I have a sister in the year above. So obviously lots of parties were had pre-COVID where, you know, they'd come to our house and I'd meet them there. And then when I came to college, it was like they were sort of convincing me to come to Oaks. They were like, oh yeah, get Amy to Oaks, it'd be so fun. And then when I joined, they were all so lovely, welcoming. I mean, I think on the first day they were all stood outside like chatting to everyone. It's such a nice community. I mean, and we just get on so well. I don't think there's anyone who doesn't like the year 13s. Obviously they're gone now, which is really sad, but I hope that we can create that sort of community for the year 12s who come up, because it was just such an amazing place to be, especially in the common room, because it's quite a nice area, but obviously you do sit separately. But we'd go over and speak to them all the time. It was just such a nice community.
Good stuff. Thank you very much. Dev, would you say you haven't got a sister in the year above? I think that's right.
Yeah, unlike Phoebe and Amy, I don't have a sister in the year above, but they were still really welcoming to me. Kind of the whole school was really welcome to me. I knew like a few people going up from Netherhall into the Oaks, but it's just really fun. They're kind of like older brothers in a way, and sisters. I mean, not family related, but it's still, you know, socially just really nice to get to know them and then just kind of make friends throughout the school.
Fab stuff. Thank you very much. Who are English literature and language students? I know Neve is. Have we got any others? And Phoebe as well. Have I missed anyone's hands? Okay, so this is the question. I'll come to Neve and Phoebe. What is the difference between GCSE and A-level English literature and language? Let's start with Phoebe. What did you notice are the differences?
So I would say the most obvious difference is that in secondary school you have English literature and English language, but they're not like different papers or anything like they were. It's everything that you do, you always have to make sure that you're applying literature and language to the same thing. So I think in a way it's easier because you just write and it naturally happens. But yeah, it's very much all of it combined. It's not now I'm writing about literature and now I'm writing about language. It's just all at the same time doing the same thing.
Good stuff. Thank you. Neve, anything you want to add?
So yeah, I think one of the biggest differences is that, and also you have coursework, which you don't have at GCSE. So we're actually about to start our creative writing coursework, which I'm really looking forward to. But yeah, I think Phoebe summed it up really well.
Fantastic. I'm going to come to Rosie now, because one of the questions here is, I'm nervous about starting sixth form. What advice would you recommend? Because I'm literally the only one going to Oaks from my school. How can you help, Rosie?
So I moved here from Suffolk, so I didn't even live in Cambridgeshire. So I completely understand that. And I think just like don't worry, especially like after the first week, because even if you feel a bit overwhelmed and like it's been difficult first week, it definitely gets better. And like maybe just because you didn't make friends in the first week, it doesn't mean that you're not gonna make like the bestest friends that will be your friends for the rest of your life. So I think just like give yourself time, but also make sure that you go and speak to people and like go and make friends with people.
We try and give you as many opportunities as possible. Thank you, Rosie, to get to know people. I think the bit that people keep telling me about that they really enjoyed is we pre-COVID and pre sort of worries and stuff is that we often did events like scavenger hunts and things like that. So when we didn't have to worry too much about, you know, socially distancing and things like that, we came up with lots of different opportunities. But not to say that we don't still have those opportunities, we just do them in a very different way. So when you come to us in September, I'm sure there'll be lots of opportunities to get to know one another. Let's go to Oscar for this one. What is the subjects that you cover in physics? What kind of things do you cover in physics A level?
So in the first year, we're expanding a little bit on Gcse. So you begin to cover a bit more in depth into waves and into kind of motion. So the wave stuff gets really interesting, especially because you begin to learn about different kinds of waves, and then you move on to light and whether that's a wave or a particle. Eventually in year 13, you get to the kind of bigger stuff where you're beginning to look at kind of radiation and the universe at large. But I would say starting in, it's fairly an easy step, just kind of building on your GCSE, but it gets very interesting to some of the more advanced topics.
Fabulous. Thank you very much. Let's stick over with science, but come to Izzy. And Ollie, are you a biologist as well? So the question here is, what are biology lessons like? Are they practical, Izzy?
Yeah, so we do quite a lot of practicals. We have a lot of theory lessons, but we do these practical assessments that are part of the course and, you know, do come up in our exams. They're really important, but they are really good fun. So they're just on absolutely every topic that we cover. You do a practical with each topic. And some of them we get to design ourselves. So we'll be given sort of like a simplified brief and we'll create our own practical based on the skills that we've learned previously in the year. So that's really exciting.
Fab stuff. What do you enjoy about biology, Ollie?
I quite like how, as much as I am doing 3 test subjects, I quite like learning about stuff visually. So we make quite a lot of diagrams, do quite a lot of drawing on tables, stuff like that really helps just get it all into the brain, because learning through photos definitely helps me, and drawing it out as well as writing it out always helps it consolidate the knowledge.
Absolutely. I'm sure it's very visual when you're cutting up things and dissecting things and working on that. Good stuff. How many of you bike to school? Dylan definitely does. I know that I've seen him on his cycle. Dylan, is there somewhere to put your bike when you're coming to college?
We have our own special bike shed right at the top of the driveway, separated from all the secondary school people. And it's left unlocked all day, so you can just leave whenever you want.
Good stuff. But remember to bring your own bike lock so that it's nice and secure, so that we make sure that everything's all right. You say special. I'm now expecting bells and whistles and tinsel and everything like that for it to be dead special, but sounds good. There's a question about enrichment. We have, because of COVID, had to be a little bit sparse on our enrichment. We have had our fantastic electives where students can learn lots of different topics, but our enrichment classes have not been as consistent as we've wanted them to be because of lockdowns and things like that. But Rokas, if he gives us a wave, what's your new role in student council?
So I am the enrichment officer, so I'm in charge of all the clubs. So I currently going to be going on in Oaks in the new school year.
Absolutely. And it's up to you as students to say what you want to do, and we'll make sure that it happens. We'll, give you the funding to help you. We'll get people to work with you. In the past, we've had dance clubs. At the moment with our electives, we've got dance, documentary making. Dylan, are you one of the bicycle repair people? So learning how to do bikes and stuff like that as well. Have we got any debaters in here? People as part of the debate club? Victoria, Oscar, Rocas, yeah. So we've got our debate club. We've got lots of different clubs and opportunities. And of course, as Seb said, we've got our school musicals for you to get involved in and performances as well, which is really exciting stuff. What is the dress code? Jake, what do you need to wear to come to college? Is there a particular uniform?
No, so there isn't a particular dress code. We have, obviously, it has to be sort of kept suitable for college conditions. But in terms of actual being told what you can and can't wear, there isn't a sort of distinct dress code.
Absolutely. And we have students wearing lots of different things, and that was a really fantastic answer, Jake, because you wear what you feel most comfortable in, and as long as you can learn in it, and that you don't find that you're feeling itchy because, I don't know, the fabrics you're wearing, or I don't know, you're wearing something that's so luminous that we have to wear sunglasses, you'll be absolutely fine. But I'm sure whatever you want to wear will be suitable and appropriate for college day. We've had a lot of questions about the preparation work. Are we expected to do all of the preparation work? Do you have to hand in all of the preparation work? Mr. Marzawi, do you want to just answer that quickly?
More than happy to. As many of the students have said, the main summer work for you all is to rest and recuperate, so that when you start Oaks in September, you come back refreshed. The work is there to bridge the gap between the leap from GCSE to level 3 studies. So any of the summer work that you choose to complete will help you have a good foundation to start in your A-level courses, and your teachers will refer back to it in the first weeks of teaching in September. So as much of it as you can do as possible is great. If you can't do it, we fully understand, but it will give you a good foundation to move forward. But it definitely won't hinder you if you haven't done it.
I'm going to stick with you just quickly for these two questions. Okay. How many hours of face-to-face learning are there per week?
So students are in full time, so you will get 27 less timetabled lessons a fortnight. So that's 27 out of 50 lessons. So 27 hours of face-to-face teaching, then where you'll be expected to do probably an extra 15 hours a week of home learning that you can use the study facilities or do whilst you're at home to sort of consolidate your knowledge or prepare for the lessons coming up in advance.
Absolutely. So if you are someone that wants to come in a little bit later because your first period isn't until period 3, absolutely fine to be doing work from home, but we do have your study facilities to use at college as well. Jake, I'm coming back to you. You and Dylan, I think, are film representatives. How different is film to media? What sort of things do you do in film?
Yeah, so film, I would say it differs from media in terms of you don't get assigned a sort of brief. You're much more sort of, you do get an option to choose sort of certain films that you want to watch, but they are sort of confined to 2 or 3. You have sort of the different sort of genres. You sort of have like classical Hollywood, which is sort of films like Casablanca. You have experimental films like Daisies, and you have sort of new wave films, which are like Bonnie and Clyde. A lot of the work you do spend in film is a lot more analysing the film, and sort of watching and sort of writing down the techniques they use and how the film is sort of made, and also the history behind some of the films.
Fabulous. So you're looking at like the context and the behind the scenes and how things are structured in film, whereas in media, you're more given a camera and just told to go and get sort of things done in that way. Nice. Good evaluation of both of those. Let's come to Ella. What is the geography course like? I know you've just been on a trip this week.
Yeah, we have just been on a trip. It's not been very exciting though, because of COVID. We've had to go in Cambridge.
All right, it's still a trip.
It's yeah. So you've got your exams, and then you've also got our coursework as well. So at the moment, we're trying to focus on our coursework for our NEA, and you sort of have to base it on one question that's within the specification of the course. So it's really interesting, and you're sort of free to do whatever you want within that specification. It's really interesting. And the course is sort of a mix of human and physical geography. and it is sort of a lot more in depth than GCSE, so it is a bit of a step up, but you sort of get longer time to go over lots of things.
Good stuff. Thank you very much. We talked about law. We've just had a question about criminology. Bella, I think you're our criminologist in here. What sort of things do you cover in criminology?
So at the moment we're doing crime scene to courtroom, which is my personal favourite so far. That's unit 3 out of 4. So far we've done theories, so theories of crime, so looking at why people commit crime, whether that's due to their background or due to their brain and things like that. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And we have got a question about, can we do EPQ? As part of our electives, we do offer an EPQ, an extended project qualification. Just by show of hands, who's doing an EPQ? Got a couple of you, which is equivalent to, as far as I'm aware, Mr. Marzawi, it's half an A-level, is that correct? In terms of UCAS points?
Close to, I think it's 40%, but close to, it will definitely give you UCAS points.
Yeah, and it looks fantastic on your UCAS references, and it gets you to explore different areas. So whether that is writing a report or essay, doing extra research, or perhaps doing something more practical, making something. We had last year someone making a whole outfit for a Victorian drama production, which was fantastic. So there's lots of opportunities to do different things with that. We've got so many questions coming through. We are coming towards the end of this, but don't panic. We have a second Q&A coming up, which is from 6:30. And we'll be able to push some of these questions to there, because I think that they'll be relevant for you and also your parents to hear. And we'll still have some of the students that will be able to answer there. And we've got our questions about science practicals. We've got things that are done in pairs, alone, and in groups. As far as I know, you've done all of those sort of things. So yeah, you do things individually, in groups, you work as a team. But in terms of science and maths classes, I mean, Oscar, how many people are in your science classes?
No more than 10 usually.
Yeah, most of our classes are an average of about 12 students. Some classes we've only got 4 students in. Other classes we go up to the full 14. But we do keep our class sizes small to give our students the best support from teachers, but also so they can get their hands stuck in on those practicals as well. Here's a question: what equipment do you need to bring in on the very first day? Ruth, what sort of things do they need on the first day?
I'd say bring like some pens, highlighters. I find highlighting very helpful, especially going back in that for revision. If you have a phone, if you did want to bring that. I personally bring a laptop in just because I find I can keep up to date with revision. You'll get provided with like a journal diary thing and folders. So you do get something provided for you too.
Fantastic. What's the first day look like? Was it straight into lessons? Did you get time to chat to anyone? What was the very first day like? Maya, what did you find?
Well, I can barely remember it, I'm not going to lie. But as I remember, there was lots of opportunity to talk to people. And then later on in the day, we did get an opportunity to have our first lessons, which was also really good because then you're not waiting around for it. But yeah, loads of opportunity to meet people and talk to people.
Good stuff. Thank you. There is a question here. What is OAKS like for LGBTQ plus students? Would anyone happily answer that question? You can unmute yourselves and go for it. If not, I'll go straight ahead with it.
Yeah, it's really positive for everyone. Being part of the group myself, it's really constructive to be around those like-minded people, and I don't think anyone has ever, said anything bad to me, and it's all been, it's all felt like such a great community to be a part of, and everyone's been really supportive. And if you're not, part of that group, there's always so many allies around you. Like, you can be one of those allies. And yeah, it's just a great atmosphere.
I think the reason that so many people sort of held back from saying anything is because we don't single you out. We work with you so that it is a strong community, no matter who you believe in, who you love, who you are. We want to make sure it's a positive community no matter what. And you're absolutely right. One of our enrichment clubs is that we have our LGBTQ plus and allies, where students can come if they are part of that community or they just want to be an ally and a friend. And there's lots of discussions and lots of help where they can be part of that group and work together. So I think it is a really positive environment, no matter how you feel or what you believe in or what you are with your sexual preference as well. We've got loads of questions about how popular different classes are. Honestly, it changes year on year, but what we try and do is make sure that we keep our class sizes small and support you all and give you the best help and support. I think that's one of our luxuries, is that our class sizes are much smaller than other centres out there, so that we can give you that extra support. You get to know each other and you get to get the best out of it. Is there a recording studio? Yeah, we've got a TV studio and a sound studio and a radio studio, photography studio. We've got loads of studios, even a fitness studio if you want to go and get your gym kit on as well. Oscar, what's the difference between maths and further maths? Let's quickly get that one in.
So difference between is it covers very different kinds of topics. So it's not similar maths. So it's all new and it keeps it interesting. For further maths, you don't need to put it when you're selecting A levels. That's a big thing. I didn't put further maths on, and it was very easy to get into. The maths teachers are more than happy to get you into the course. It's challenging for sure, but it is really engaging, and I've really found maths one of my most interesting subjects.
Fantastic, thank you very much. Unfortunately, we haven't got our product design representative here today, but for someone who works with the product design teacher, I know that it's very design based. You have lots of extra help and support in finding your niche in the design world, whether it's engineering route that you want to go into, interior design, or you want to look at branding and marketing. The best option I can say for you, if you haven't had your questions answered, whether it's product design or whatever subject that you want to find out more about, please go to the subject lists on the Oaks corridor, the virtual corridor. There's loads of students there that will answer your questions. You might recognise Dev's face as well. He went and talked to loads of students in the virtual tours and answered questions about that. So it is worth going and having a look again on there. And if you still haven't had your question answered, then the teachers are absolutely fine with answering any questions by email to help you out a little bit more. That's it. There's been so many questions, so many things. We've run over by a few minutes, but I just want to say thank you so much to our amazing student panel. Before we go, let's finish on my favourite game of all. It's a bit of word association. I would like you to come up with one word that you think summarises Oaks for you. Okay. So I'll say your name, just tell me that word and let's go for it. So what is Oaks to you? Let's start off with Bella.
I'd say accepting.
Lovely, thank you very much. Neve?
It's a bit bland, but I would just say it's really fun.
I'm glad that you then carried on. I thought you were going to say it's a bit bland was your word then, and I was like, oh no, but yeah, really fun, like that. Dylan?
I'd say it's refreshing.
Oh, nice. Izzy?
I'd say welcoming.
Fantastic, thank you. Dev?
Comforting.
Lovely. Rokas?
Inclusive.
Brilliant, thank you. Harry?
I would say community.
Good stuff. Phoebe?
Supportive.
Rosie?
I'd say like challenging, but in a good way.
Love it. Arthur?
Helpful.
Great, thank you. Ella?
Just amazing.
Oh, I love that. Victoria?
Motivating.
Brilliant. Lucy?
Embracing.
Ollie?
Inspiring.
Libby? Second home. Oh, that's lovely. It's 2 words, but I do like those, so I'll allow you on that one. Jake?
Unique.
Fantastic. Ruth?
Caring.
Oscar?
Engaging.
Izzy?
Really supportive.
I can see Seb just feels like his word's just gone. What else have you got, Seb?
Oscar's just taken my word from me. Well, it's not one word, but I just think it's a really good community that is well rounded out and is very accepting in a whole.
Thank you. Maya?
Friendly, I don't think that's been said. I don't know.
Ruth? Have I said yours? Oh, I just wanted another one, Ruth, with all these fantastic words. Have I not said anyone? I feel like I miss Ollie. Did I get Ollie's? I've got yours. Is there anyone I didn't get? Because I've got so many people on here, it's hard to find. I know who I didn't get. Mr. Marzawi, what's yours?
Proud is mine. Immensely proud to have the privilege of working with these fantastic young people that make the Oaks the very special place that it is. So when you come, you won't know until you step foot through the door and you meet the fantastic students that are here and that will help make you feel part of this special place, and you will again contribute that for somebody else when you arrive. So for me, massively proud that I have the best job in the world working with these fantastic young people.
I think you stole mine there, but I think the other word I'd use is energy. The students give me such an exciting energy to work with them. They are enthusiastic, they're open-minded, and they're hardworking, and they bring such a beautiful energy of community to the Oaks that I think it's life-changing as me as a teacher and for them too. So I want to say thank you so much, guys, for getting involved in our student panel. We have overrun, but don't panic. We've got another webinar coming up at 6:30 where you can get your parents involved and they can be asking questions too. Thank you so much to all of our panelists. Have a lovely evening. We'll see you in college tomorrow. And for everyone else, we'll see you in a little while. Thank you.